Hey guys, how you doing? Jeff here, and today, well, it's more politics, but this is something that's near and dear to me and should be near and dear to anybody who makes money for a living. Because AOC was moaning and wailing about, the government not putting up her precious $15 an hour, that we're hurting the American people and all these people and blah, 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 blah. And it was basically, from what I was able to comprehend out of these fucking idiots, are a bunch of fucking people who don't understand the basic laws of economics, trying to brute force their way past them without realizing the consequences or not giving a flying fuck about them. And speaking of people who don't care about consequences, this dipshit needs to back the fuck up or get run the fuck over. There you go, Skippy. There you go. Sorry, kids, driver Tourette's. I'm gonna give you all a quick, more you know segment. You see, when you drive in the world and in the United States and there's these little white lines that you're supposed to stop behind, they're called stop bars. They're there for a reason. Because the place I was just turning out of, they got the stop bar about 15, 20 feet back from where the lane ends before, you go across the intersection. It's there because the place I come out of is a warehouse industrial area, and trucks hauling 53-foot trailers like me need a long, wide way to swing that damn thing around so we're not knocking over the light pole, which they put right on the fucking street corner, which I think should be fucking illegal, but hey, what do I know, right? I'm just a truck driver. But yeah, some dipshit decided he was going to pull the entire fucking car length past the stop bar and then looked at me stupefied like, oh, I need to back up. It's like, yeah, no shit, that white stop bar that you ran right on past, you're supposed to stop behind it. It's there for a fucking reason. The more you know. But now that I've ranted 2 minutes about that, let's get back to the original topic. $15 an hour. Look, minimum wage is a dumbass idea. In fact, I know this term gets thrown out a lot. I know a lot of people on certain sides of the street don't like it, but minimum wage is actually racist, and it prices people out of the fucking market. Because you see, in the old days before minimum wage showed up, this is the way it worked. And I'm going to use a white and a black guy as an example. Summer job, let's say you're working for like someplace like Hot Dog and a Stick back in the day. I'm not saying the exact business, but a business like it. Just a summer job on the beach selling hot dogs and lemonade. Guy who owns a fucking place puts up a job offering, but he doesn't tell you how much he's going to pay. He wants to know what you want to be paid for the job so he can find someone according. White guy shows up. Hey, I'll do it for $5 an hour. Black guy happens to hear it. Black guy comes in after the white guy talks to the manager like, hey, I'll do that same job for $4.50. No one else comes to offer up a price. Manager goes, fuck it, I'll get the guy $4.50. And the white guy would not get the job. So, in an effort to shut that off, a bunch of white people went crying because black people were sneaking in behind jobs and underbidding them. So at least they would have a job and work their way up to that price anyways. Develop minimum wage to stop the underbidding. That's the real reason why minimum wage exists. Now, fast forward. Now, people like AOC, who are avowed socialists, are now trying to use minimum wage as, a way to make a quote-unquote livable wage. Now, Young Ripa did a great segment on this, and I'm going to echo the sentiment. Look, $15 an hour? That sounds well and good. Maybe for a 19-year-old who really has no fucking bills, no fucking responsibilities. Because if you do 40 hours a week times $15 an hour, your gross, it's about just under $32,000. I think it's like $31,500. I'm sorry. For me, who's 38 years old, got a stack of fucking bills plus a kid and a wife, $31,500 ain't gonna do shit. That ain't a fucking living wage for me. That's just something that AOC doesn't think. She is under the delusion of the one size fits all and will fix everything. It ain't ever worked and ain't ever gonna work, and people like her need to understand this shit. Socialism doesn't fucking work. But back to minimum wage. Another point that my buddy brought up, who actually is a Democrat, though I think he's starting to lean towards moving away from Democrat into independent land, because he did say the Democrats are a shadow of their former self and have gone out of their fucking control. But he said all this minimum wage is really a shadow for is to increase the tax revenue of the United States government, because a lot of people screaming for $15 an hour don't realize you're gonna jump a tax bracket. They're going to tax you more. You're going to get more taken at your fucking money. You ain't going to make that much more. When you break it down in the end, like, because you have to go for about 15-20% taxes. Out of 31,000, your take home's like 20, 25, which might seem a jump, but it ain't that much of a jump for what you're making now. I'm sorry. Minimum wage was never supposed to be a living wage. But the way that Bernie Sanders and all of them using it now, my God, they're just warping what minimum wages they're supposed to be. And as I alluded to before in my analogy, that's what it really was designed for, to keep people from being underbid. A third point of contention, number 3. Any teenager who wants to get a job, good fucking luck. You're going to price all them kids out the fucking job market. So you see, back in my misbegotten youth, I had a part-time job growing up. Worked at a little place called Togo's. It's a California kind of Subway competitor. It does well for itself. That's pretty damn good sandwiches. About one of the best pastrami sandwiches I've ever had. But yeah, it's called Togo's. I used to make sandwiches pretty much my sophomore and my junior year before I quit to take some time off before I joined the Marine Corps. I was trying to, make some scratch to get a car. Never did. But hey, there it is. But I started out, I think the minimum wage at that point was like $5.25 an hour. Which, for, a 15, 16-year-old kid who's just trying to make some money part-time to get enough scratch to get a job, and I really don't have any bills since my parents took care of them, was plenty enough for me. Now, take that job and make it pay $15 an hour. I don't even think Togo's would be able to exist. They get priced out the fucking market because they wouldn't be able to afford to pay $15 an hour on top of all their expenses. What you don't understand is, yes, they're jumping the minimum wage by double, but that's like almost triple to quadruple the money burden on businesses. You will absolutely flatline and kill most small businesses because they ain't going to be able to pay to pay 15. Like the mom and pop shops, they are going to have to lay off or fire so many people because they simply just can't afford to pay everybody $15 an hour. I've talked to many mom and pop shops. You think they roll in the money? It's like, yeah, they make 6 figures, but it ain't all that fucking high. Like on paper, their business might make $5 million a year, but after all the expenses and all said and done, they may have paid themselves $150,000, $200,000, which I know sounds like a lot, but that profit margin is very fluid. And that's why a lot of small businesses, because of all this shit, have fucking folded. They ain't got the fucking resources to hang on like that. They require business to keep moving so they can keep living. As I've said before in many of my other videos, used to be a lease operator. Lease operating a truck is like running a small business. On paper, I made $110,000. In reality, I made like 32 after all was said and done. Welcome to how stuff really works when you're running a fucking business. Because holy shit, it is a whole different ball game. And all the small business out there who were successful for all this or who have managed to hang on, I don't know how you did it, but my hat's off to you. I understand your pain. Truly, I do. But the point is, $15 an hour will kill small businesses, and that's a whole heaping amount of jobs. Now, other places, like Walmart and all them people, you really think they are going to take that much of a profit margin hit and pay you all $15 an hour? You are out your damn minds. If anything, they're going to lay off a shit ton of you, and the other ones that they don't lay off, who they jump up to $15 an hour as a government-mandated pay raise, y'all going to do twice as goddamn much for that $15 an hour, and I guarantee it. That's just economics. I'm sorry, at the end of the day, as much as I don't like corpos, there are people who have investments, and there are bottom lines, and there are fucking things they have to meet. Otherwise, them investors pull the fuck out, your company collapses, and ain't no one got a fucking job. So, if you don't think that corporations will A, jack the prices, B, find a way to cut the fucking costs, which is up to and including getting rid of jobs to cover, to meet the fucking margins that is needed, you goddamn right they'll fucking do it. And the last point I want to bring up, which is kind of alluded to in the last point, cost of living. See, this is the fucking major delusion that a lot of these leftists had. You all are under the delusion, because this is the only way I can explain it. You are all under the fucking delusion. The fucking delusion that the cost of living is going to remain constant. Motherfuckers, cost of living has skyrocketed the entire time I've been alive. And inflation has risen with it. Give you an example. I decided, go back to the year I was born, 1982, and I wanted to see what the purchasing power of a dollar the year I was born is compared to today. And what I found was absolutely jaw-droppingly shocking. A dollar in 1982 had the purchasing power of almost $11 today. Inflation has jumped the inflation of the dollar by 11 times. Stop and think about that for a minute. It takes 11 more dollars than $1 the year I was born to pay for something today. Holy shit. And I'll give you another example. I used to live in Durham, North Carolina. Apartment that I moved in, I think it was 2014. It was a 2-floor townhouse. It had the 1.5 bath, I think a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath townhouse. When I first started renting there, I don't anymore because I live in Columbus, Indiana. But when I first rented there, $750 a month for that apartment building. It was actually a really nice townhouse. It got a couple of upgrades as we lived there because, they did stuff. And our price went up about 80 to $100 a year. So by the time I moved out, it was just shy of about $850, $900 when I first moved in. I moved out, they flipped that apartment for $1,800 a month. It now goes for over $2,000. See, this is the delusion that the left goes under. Now, there are reasons why that apartment just skyrocketed. It's because that's when the great tech migration out of California kicked off, and a lot of people from California who are used to paying a lot higher rents. So that townhouse for $2,000 was like, well, shit, that's like half the price I'm paying in California for something this big. And North Carolina was like, well, shit, we can about double or triple the fucking rent, and people from California will happily pay because it's cheaper than what they were paying before. Fuck yeah, we'll make a killing. That's exactly what they did. It's called gentrification. They basically priced low-rent people like me who couldn't lock in a price out the fucking market and out the fucking town. It is unbelievable how expensive a good portion of Durham, North Carolina has gotten. I could not afford to live there anymore. Can't do it. Maybe with Estes I might be able to do it, but I'd eat up a lion's share of my fucking money to do it. Because my God, like on an average month, like last year I made $53,000. Take that price I just quoted you, about $2,000 a month times 12. That's $36,000. That's pretty much my entire pay, almost after taxes. I think after taxes, what I made was about $41, $42, and with $36 for that fucking apartment. Yeah, I couldn't even afford to fucking pay my car payments. I couldn't even afford to feed myself in that apartment now. Shit, apartment I live in right now is a 2nd floor, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath with an extra quote-unquote den, which is actually a room. It's just not counted as a room because it has no closets. And I pay about $1,000 a month for that. That's a quarter of my fucking paycheck a month, give or take. And that's before taxes, not even after tax. It's about a paycheck and a half for me, just for my fucking rent. About the only places I could find that would actually rent to me. And this is the kind of shit that Democrats are not taking into account when they talk about giving everybody a forced government mandated pay raise. They think the cost of living is going to stay constant. No, it will not. The price of goods and rent and all that other fun shit will skyrocket. One, to cover the cost of having to pay their people double what they were before, Two, because they know we have all this fucking extra money that the government is trying to mandate, and they know they can squeeze that much more money up out our pockets. And the final point I want to make before I wrap this shit up, because I've been talking a long while. Money in the United States, because it is backed by nothing, is nothing but a supply and demand chain. I want you to think about the United States currency like that. It's all about supply and fucking demand when it comes to money. Any good economist will tell you that. It's like, oh yeah, value of the dollar is completely based on supply and demand. And guess what? The supply of money has doesn't gone through the roof lately. That's why the demand, aka the purchasing power of the dollar, has plummeted over time. The more money there is, the more it takes to do the same fucking thing. Supply and demand, people. And the government is trying to make it even worse. But anyways, I've rambled on for what? Going on 16 minutes about this shit. There's a lot more to unpack. Hell, I probably got some of it wrong. But you all get the general idea of why I am flatly against a $15 an hour price hike, pay hike at minimum wage. If anything, I agree more with we should abolish the minimum wage. The only thing we're going to do is devalue the dollar, make it that much harder to fucking do shit on the same amount of money, and we will have accomplished nothing. $15 an hour just become new $7.25. I'm Jeff. I'll catch you next time.